Internet. I'm Mike and this is Mark.
Hey, what's up guys?
And we're here to talk about our next build, and it's actually going to be our first big build. So we're probably going to spread it out over maybe 3, possibly 4 episodes.
Probably go towards 4.
Yeah, probably 4 because it's going to be huge. And it's also going to be the first build that we're going to do.
And high pitched.
It's going to be the first build that we're going to do 3D modelling on. And Mark here's going to tell you a little bit about that.
We are, well, I am going to build the gun in
Yes,
a program called Cinema 4D by Maxon, and it's the main 3D software that I use for all my modelling and animation work. So the way we're going to go about it is I'll build the gun virtually, so it will be to scale and everything in the virtual world. Then we'll use that model to actually split off the different parts of the gun, so I can make templates and things like that for Mike to actually build in the real world. And one of the reasons why we're doing that is because it can be very hard to actually find templates and things like that for you know, this sort of weapon that's not exactly, well, it's not exactly a kind of common build.
No, it's not. It sort of encompasses a lot of different techniques that are going to be used. It's not your bog standard boxy blaster or gun. There's a lot of curved edges to it, a lot of organic shapes, and that's why I need Mark to build something for me 3D, because from that 3D model it'll be a life-size piece that will be able to be used by a Wookie, and it will. And from that I can then make the template, I can transfer it onto paper, and I'll be able to get all the dimensions from that and build the actual thing. So it'll make it a lot easier for me. Plus you get to see all the awesome work that he does.
So what we're going to do is give you a little introduction into Cinema 4D, and hopefully that will break the back for the start of the next build, because I don't want to go into the build cold without you guys having any sort of clue about what I'm doing with the actual software. So hopefully this will give you a little insight into what I'm going to be doing and how I'm going to be using certain tools and doing different things, because I'm going to need to move quite quickly with it when we actually do video the 3D build. So we'll jump into the office and we'll just have a little look at the program and just go through bits and bobs.
Let's do it!
The basic setup, your window that you're looking at is your perspective window, and these buttons at the top here where the cursor is, the first one, if you click that and move, that basically moves you in your up, down, left, right, or your X and Y axis, whatever you want to call it. The second one is your perspective. Well, it's not your perspective, it's your near or far, it's your big cow little cow. So that zooms you in, zooms you out. Third one, rotate. So that rotates you around the central point, as there. And then the fourth one, you click that and it takes you into another view, which you have the ability to have 4 views within Cinema 4D. So the native way that this is set up is you have a top view, a front view, a right view, and your perspective view. So we'll go back into perspective view. I'll go through the other sort of really basic tools that are lining the side here and along the top. Then I'll drop an object into the actual scene and then let you see how the different views work. So down the side here, these are advanced different ways of manipulating actual polygon objects, which involves actually taking points, lines, or polygons and manipulating them individually. So we'll leave that for just now because that's a little bit further on. I will start with the stuff along the top. So along the top we have our first, the arrow with the circle in it, which is your selection tool. If you hold on that, it gives you a couple of different selection tools, much like you would have in Photoshop or Illustrator.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, there's so far seems like a few similarities.
No, absolutely, absolutely. This tool here is your move tool. Slightly different. You can still move things about when you have your selection tools on the go, but the move tool gives you different options of how you actually move things about, and you'll use that more when you're using the tools at the side here, so that's more your advanced modelling sort of thing. The guy here, little square with the bigger square around it and the dots, that is your resize tool. That's basically taking an object and making it bigger or smaller. Then straight after that, your rotation tool, much like your rotation tool here, it just rotates an object wherever you want it to go, and that's how that works. This tab here, when you push and hold it down, brings up all of your primitive objects, and these are pretty much available in any 3D program that you use. It's generic basic shapes that you can start any model from, or you can even use to model. So if we hit a cube, for example, there's now a cube in our scene, and down at the bottom here it shows exactly what the cube is made up of. So your X size is 200 centimeters, so 2 meters, Y the exact same, Z the exact same as well. So you can change those as you want. You can put in exact sizes, whatever. So if we want to make that 100, so that's a meter tall, 2 meters that way, 2 meters that way. That is how that works. Coordinates of the shape are dependent on the actual scene and the world. When I was saying earlier on about how the axes work, in the center here, 0, 0, 0 is your world 0. So it's like the start of your axis on the graph.
Mm-hmm.
And if you adapt that, so if we move that, so there you go, there's a 200 on the x-axis, that's moved 2 meters this way. If we put in minus 200, it moves it 200 the other way, and then all the other axes will act the exact same way. So that's how you would actually move a shape about, and then, you know, that's how a lot of the animation works. So if we go back to 0, 0, 0, 0, you can start a shape here on the timeline and then tell it at a later point in the timeline to move to here. So that then animates the shape. But again, that's a bit advanced, so we'll come back to that. Within each primitive object, as well as the, I'll just reset that back to the starting quantities. In every primitive object, you have a couple of different things that you can do. One of them is a fillet option. Now, if you click that, what that does is it gives you a cube with rounded sides, and the tools underneath the fillet are fairly straightforward. That tells you the radius that it's going to round it by, and then how the more subdivisions you have of the rounding is the smoother the curve is going to be. So if you had one and you go in, if you see the corner here, that's just a straight line. Because there's only one subdivision. If you do two, straight line, straight line. So that's two subdivisions. 3, 1, 2, 3. It's getting rounder. 4, 5, blah 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 blah. And you can go up to like a stupid number. That's what, 155. So that's, to the naked eye, perfectly round.
Yeah.
But by the time you end up with different shapes and different objects and all the rest of it, that's just going to make the entire program go slow as all hell. Okay, the next thing that we're going to be looking at, as I was saying there, is splines. So if we take, let's go for the front view, and if we take a linear spline, and then we can draw it whatever shape. I'm just going to draw something really just made up, rough, whatever. Now, what you don't need to do, unlike Photoshop and Illustrator, is you would usually finish off the shape.
You would sort of match it up.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. If you look at the tools at the side here, there's a button that says Close Spline. So when you Click that.
Yeah.
Does what it says in the tin. Closes the spline. So, again, your selection tools, you can select any of these points on the spline and move it about, reshape it, do whatever the hell you want with it. Yeah. Whatever shape you're trying to achieve or whatever you're trying to do, then, you know, that's all fine. What you can do also is, if you select something that I mentioned that you can change how it acts, whether it's a hard angle or whether it's a soft angle. So if you select a point and then click right, then you can go to hard interpolation, which is what it is just now, or if you click soft, then it softs it up. It gives you what you may recognise as your Bezier curve. Now, this is where the move tool comes in. So if you click the move tool, then you can actually adapt your Bezier curve, and then you can change that to however you want it to look. So let's do this guy as well. I have no idea what this is even attempting to be, but so
It's a camel.
it's a camel. Okay, it's a
Not the other thing I was thinking, but it's a camel.
it's a camel.
It's a top-down view.
Camel with issues. Camel with issues.
Humps.
Do you know what? I'm going to delete that just so that we get rid of what was in your head. Right. Anyway. Right. So okay. Do you know what? Let's make Pac-Man.
I was going to say it's Pac-Man.
Let's make Pac-Man. Let's do that. That is in fact happening. So. Okay, we can make Pac-Man from this. Dead sound effects. Courtesy of Mike Lawson. So there we go. Okay, so what we need to do then is we need to make this a soft interpolation to get the bottom line, right? Not that point, this one. So soft interpolation, move it around to a place that kind of makes sense, and make sure you're on the move tool, because if you're on the select tool and you try and do that, it just unselects it. So move tool, and then I'll get this into a kind of rough Pac-Man-y shape. Okay, we got a Pac-Man shape. So if we go in perspective view, you can see
Nice.
the Bezier lines that we drew. Now, what splines let you do is work with the next set of tools that I will show you, which basically those tools tell, or the spline tells those tools to create polygons based on the shape that's drawn out by the spline.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, if we go into the next section, you have an extrude NURB. They're called NURBs. Don't ask me. Didn't name them. NURB. So you get an extrude, NURB, loft, lathe, and sweep, and they all do different things. Now, if we take an extrude NURB.
Try saying that fast 12
Oh,
times.
dude, seriously, that's not going to happen in a million years. So if we drop the spline into the extrude NURB, what's going to happen is it will create geometry. So drop that in, boom.
Ah.
There you go, you got some geometry. Now, the way it works, if again, everything that you can change and adapt and do on any of the basic tools are down here in the right hand corner. So I keep on going on about these axes, X, Y, and Z. This is X, that's Y, that's Z. So that is moving in the Z axis, right? So that is the depth there. So if you zeroed that out and you went X axis, don't make no sense for where the spline is, whatever, but it's just to show you that that's how things move. And then likewise with the Y axis, it's just up and down, right? So again, don't make much sense. So let's go 70, boom, there you go, there's a Pac-Man shape. What else can we do? So let's take this spline again and get rid of the extrude tool. So let's have a look at some of the other ones. Lathe. Right, let's have a look at the lathe tool. Now this spline isn't going to work for that. Now, The reason for that is it's set up wrong. The lathe tool works like a lathe. So it takes a spline. So if you had a spline shape, you know, whatever the spline shape is, it then takes it 360. It throws it round. So what I'll do is I'll draw a really quick brand new spline in front mode to show you what this does. Let's make a wine glass. Okay, so what we'll do is we will make probably one of the ugliest wine glasses you've ever seen in the history of the world, but that's fine, it's just for examples. Just so I can get a little bit closer in, a little bit of zoom, a little bit of it, come down, let's go there, come to here, go up to here, and here, and here, and here. Again, close spline. So if you look at that, that doesn't look like a wine glass in any way, shape or form. If we make that a wee bit softer there, still doesn't look like a wine glass. Going to make this guy a wee soft interpolation as well. Doesn't look like a wine glass. But what I need to do, these center points, I need to make sure are at the 0 x-axis. So down here, I'll just reset that to 0. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with that one. That's already at 0, that's fine. So what the lathe tool is going to do is take this and spin it around 360 degrees. Now if you look at a wine glass, cut it right down the middle, and look at what the cross section of it would look like.
Yeah.
It's going to be something roughly like that, right? So we get lathe tool, and we'll drop the spline in there. And then if we go to the perspective view, switch off the lathe, so you just have the spline, and then turn that back on. There's something that nobody would buy in IKEA.
It's like the goblet, the Holy Grail in Last Crusade.
But no. Hope that made some sense, and I hope that was a half decent introduction into how the software runs and how the primitive models work and how the different tools like bevel and the extrude tool and all the rest of it help you model things and do things virtually. So if you have any questions, please comment below the video and I will get on and I will answer to the best of my ability. And other than that, we'll just keep an eye on the Facebook page, which is / The Right Side Show. Subscribe to the channel and just keep an eye out for when the first part of the Wookie build is going to be available.
Yeah, I learnt a lot.
And it's tough to teach this guy, man. It's hard.
It's hard to teach. There's too much stuff in here. I had to knock some stuff from Primary 5 out to get stuff in there.
It's a sad day, but we hope that helped. We'll
I don't know the times table anymore.
Catch you soon.